when they say the sky is the limit, to me that's really true. These lines by Michael Jackson beautifully suffice his life and his love for music. A music aficionado and enthusiast, Jackson changed the way people looked onto music and created a never-ending craze with his chartbusters and bestsellers. He gave pop and rock its life and blood and wrote chapters in the history of music that would long live for the centuries to come.
Early life and career. Jackson had a successful career before Jackson was born on August 29, 1958 in D.e.a.t.h, Indiana. Under his father's encouragement, Jackson's career in music began at the age of 5. Joseph believed his sons had talent and molded them into a musical group in the early 1960s that would later become known as the Jackson 5. Motown Records president Berry Gordy Jr. was impressed with the group and signed them in 1969, sporting the loudest fashions, the largest afros, and the snapbeat choreography, a youthful, soulful exuberance. The Jackson 5 became an immediate success. Michael showed remarkable range and depth for such a young performer, impressing audiences with his ability to convey complex emotions. As Michael matured, his voice changed, family tensions arose, and the contract standoff ensued. The group finally broke with Motown, moving to Epic Records as the Jacksons. The overwhelmingly positive response to Jackson's 1979 solo album, Off the Wall, helped the Jacksons as a group. Triumph, 1980, sold more than 1 million copies, and the brothers went on an extensive tour to support the recording. At the same time, Jackson continued exploring more ways to branch out on his own. Jackson admitted that he was often afraid when he wasn't on stage. For the boy who never wanted to grow up, Jackson was engineering a return to the place where he first found success and solace. Away from the quotidian pressure he seemed to struggle with his entire life. "I hate to admit it, but I feel strange around everyday people," Jackson once said. "See, my whole life has been on stage, and the impression I get of people is applauding, standing ovation, and running after you. In the crowd, I'm afraid. On stage, I feel safe." Marriage and fatherhood. In August 1994, Jackson announced that he had married Lisa Marie Presley, daughter of rock icon Elvis Presley. The couple gave a joint television interview with Diane Sawyer. But the union proved to be short-lived. They divorced in 1996. Many felt that the marriage was an attempt to improve his public image. Later that the same year, Jackson witnessed Debbie Rowe. The couple divorced in 1999. Jackson and Rowe had 2 children through artificial insemination. Son Michael Joseph Prince Jackson Jr., born in 1997, and daughter Paris Michael Catherine Jackson, born in 1998. When Rowe and Jackson divorced, Michael received full custody of their 2 children. Jackson would go on to have a 3rd child, Prince Michael Plunkett Jackson II, with an unknown surrogate. After Jackson's death in June 2009, his children was placed in the care of their grandmother, Catherine Jackson, as dictated in his will. In respect to their father's wishes, Prince, Paris, and Plunkett were largely kept out of the limelight. They stepped up to the mic in 2009 to speak to fans at their father's funeral. And again, in January 2010, to accept a posthumous Lifetime Achievement Award for their father at the Grammys. Child molestation accusations, financial difficulties, and death. Allegations of child molestation against Jackson first emerged in 1993, when a 13-year-old boy claimed that the music star had fondled him. Jackson was known to have sleepovers with boys at the Neverland Ranch, but this was the first public charge of wrongdoing. The police searched the ranch, but they found no evidence to support the claim. The following year, Jackson settled the case out of court with the boy's family. Other allegations emerged, but Jackson maintained his innocence. In the 2003 television documentary, Living with Michael Jackson, British journalist Martin Bashir spent several months with his singer, even getting him to discuss his relationships with children. Jackson admitted that he continued to have children sleep over at his ranch, even after the 1993 allegations, and that sometimes he slept with the children in the bed. Why can't you share your bed? That's the most loving thing to do, to share your bed with someone, Jackson told Bashir. In 2003, Jackson encountered more legal woes when he was arrested on charges related to incidents with a 13-year-old boy. Facing 10 counts in all, he was charged with lewd conduct with a minor, attempted lewd conduct, administering alcohol to facilitate molestation, and conspiracy to commit child abduction, false imprisonment, and extortion. The resulting 2005 trial was a media circus, with fans, detractors, and camera crews surrounding the courthouse. More than 130 people testified, including Macaulay Culkin. The actor told the court that he had been friends with Jackson as a young teen and never had any problems while staying over at the Neverland Ranch. Jackson's accuser also appeared via videotape and described how he had been given wine and molested. However, the jury found problems with his testimony as well as that of his mother. Jackson was found not guilty of all charges on June 14, 2005. In the wake of these events, Jackson suffered a financial collapse that resulted in the sale of many of his considerable assets, including, ultimately, his lavish Neverland Ranch. He was preparing for a series of high-profile concerts he hoped would spark a comeback when he died suddenly of cardiac arrest on June 25, 2009, prompting a widespread outpouring of grief from his fans that culminated in memorable celebration of his life and legacy on July 7 at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. In August 2009, the coroner ruled Jackson's death a homicide. The cause was a lethal combination of sedatives, propofol, and anesthetic. In November 2011, Jackson's personal physician was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter.